Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And today it's going to be a very special episode because we have our guest Sean here. Welcome Sean, and I'm so happy that you can join our interview today because when my husband and I back in the UK, when we do some research about Malaysian property, and your channel is our Bible, the go-to source to see all the different Malaysian property. So happy for you to be here today.
Excellent. So I have never imagined my work being processed from a perspective of you guys. It was always meant for locals.
Okay.
But maybe because it's so local that you guys love it.
Yeah. But you also provide lots of informations, It's not like that marketing videos from some real estate agent that you can tell it's just like a advertisement, but your videos from a very neutral perspective that I'm very impressed to see that you always provide 3 things that you like and 3 things that you don't like for certain properties. So I think that's really make a difference. So
cool.
Very happy to be able to talk to you about Malaysian property versus UK property, for example. I think in today's video we'll just talk about maybe from a expat perspective, what are our questions about Malaysian property, and you as the expert of the Malaysian property, maybe you are the best one to answer these questions.
Hopefully.
I do notice that recently Malaysian property become quite popular, especially among expats, and with the new MM2H visa just launched, and buying property become a requirement, right? We are mandatory to buy the property, so it's becoming a hot spot right now. So for your perspectives, do you think when expat picking locations where to buy, do you think they should consider expat friendly location, or it should be a mix of locals as well? What are the main difference you think from their perspectives?
I think Malaysia got really lucky in terms of geographical location, in terms of timing, where we are the cheaper version of Singapore. So because of
cheaper
that,
and bigger.
Cheaper and bigger, and all the back ends are actually relocated to this southern Malaysia called Johor Bahru. So and our industrial land has picked up in terms of attractiveness. It's so cost efficient to just relocate everything back here. Welcome. Then from the MM2H one, I am very pleased to see that the government is working very hard on it. The previous version was that you had to have 40,000 ringgit.
And 1 million as a saving deposit.
So
but you don't need to buy property.
So now they kind of make that twist about it, and I think the agenda, I've mentioned it several other sources, but here let's just make it clear. It's for the government to clear off a lot of stocks. Because relatively, if you compare properties in different regions, ours are still very affordable.
Very affordable,
And you guys gotta really just welcome, right? Come and see the projects. In terms of build quality, environment, it's really there at a fraction of the price.
Exactly,
Because I still think that it's heavily subsidized by the government.
Even those condos private.
Because
really?
It's all derived from construction costs, and construction costs main thing is still price of fuel. Our price of fuel, again, we are in a fuel exporting country, so so it's heavily subsidized in my opinion, and for that a lot of expats wants to come in, and that is one of the main mistakes in my opinion. As you guys, the main thought process is always back in our country, it's so cheap here. That's a very wrong way, because you guys are just going to buy all the things that locals don't want.
That's the thing also I found, right? When we are doing our research, the first few places that are coming up to our mind is those expat friendly area, that Mount Kiara, KLCC, because when you research on YouTube or whatever, that's the thing that people's always telling you, oh, these are the expat friendly area, and then they will recommend you all those luxury condos. But when you really look into it, take a deep dive, you'll find that, I feel 100% of the buyers are expats. Then if you think, okay, maybe after several years, if I want to sell it, who am I going to sell to?
Yep.
Right? Like if locals don't really want to live in that, then that's become a problem. So
100%.
Yeah.
So yes, for foreigners there will be like minimum price to property to buy, and when you think about like in Kuala Lumpur, you will need to buy above $1 million.
Yeah.
That's like a normal price even for locals already. So when it's a choice then if you were to do your homework accurately, if you buy in locations like Desa Park City, Mont Kiara, where the yield means the rental can actually support that. Like for locals, like I do own properties in Mont Kiara, where my rental can cover my monthly installments.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
So yeah, that is excellent, and that is also why like Mont Kiara is thriving as a location, like in Desa Park City and elsewhere. So sometimes when you have friendly parties of agents trying to recommend you things, it's always good to have in the back of your mind that it's advertisement. They are getting a cut out of the deal.
True.
So do have, I know they are great agents also, but do always have that in mind.
Yeah.
So when back to the question, when I do think that there are ranges of expats, the first misconception is all expats are rich. So yes, there are some very, very rich ones, but then there are also some that just want a different environment for their family.
Yeah, true.
So I do recommend to try it out by renting first, because like just now we just had a discussion about if you were to just move 2 km away from Desa Park City, you get property price at a fraction.
At a fraction, yeah. Like Manjalara, is it?
Like Manjara Kepong or Sri Damansara.
Okay.
Or you can go to Damansara Perdana where IKEA is. Then it's not that bad. It's luxurious for locals.
Yeah.
So just that you guys are the creep, we are like the icing. Then so with those locations, those are not as popular online because it's all local driven. So if you guys are not in a rush to really just get the MM2H done, I would strongly suggest to just try it out first because it's not that far.
Yeah, true. So just like rent first to feel if you like that area.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned earlier, in Malaysia, right, some of the two areas, maybe they're very close to each other, just like one street away, but it feels quite different, right?
Yep.
The vibe is a total different.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's also essential because for me, we do the research, I rely on Google Map. Maybe to me, it's only 1 kilometer away. I thought it may be quite similar, right? But if you really go to that street to see it, you'll see the difference.
100%.
Yeah.
It's like the classic example, like for Desa Park City, next to it is Kepong, Manjarara, but the price is almost double. It's like I can see your house.
Yeah.
So,
True.
but the price like here is about maybe 600 per square feet ringgit. In Desa Park City, it's 1,200 per square feet. So 1,200 per square feet.
Or even more, yeah.
Yeah. All I'm saying is at that price, you have unlimited options. So maybe like it's very easy. Like it's the easy way out if you buy like Desa Park City, but then it's the unicorn of the property market in Malaysia. There's no second Desa Park City.
There's no second, yeah.
But then like if you were to go into Damansara Heights, Bangsa, Mont Kiara and like Bukit Tungku and things like that, such addresses that are also expat friendly, but just that they are not as popular on.
Right. Just like do more homework basically, not just like see those made for expat areas. Yeah.
And we also have an options of landed. Not necessarily you need to be in a condo. Like they are stratified landed, like something like in Desa Park City as well. And foreigners are welcome to own.
Yeah. So one thing I noticed is that for locals, you guys are really into landed, right? More over the condos.
Yeah.
But for expats, sometimes we prefer condos.
Yep.
I think there's several reasons. Maybe one is you feel more secure and safe in a condos, right? Because you have to, there's like a security guard, security gate. You have to tap your keys everywhere to the lift floor also. So maybe that's one of the reasons why as expat, probably the first property we purchase will be condos. But then when you think about it, if for a condo, you don't really own the land, right? Although it's freehold, you only own like maybe 1% of the piece of the land. That doesn't really mean anything, right? But if you have a landed house, you own the land and it's freehold, that means the supply is limited, right? And also for condos, it's basically unlimited supply, because with a piece of land, there's a new developer that can come here to have a high-rise building, like 50 floors.
Yep.
So like 200, 300 units come into the market.
But
not so much with landed. So it's also one of the things I found, that landed maybe can hold more value than condos.
Yep. And it's also for very, very romantic reasons. Like most of us in Klang Valley, where it includes Kuala Lumpur and Selangor, those in Johor and mainland Penang, we grown up in landed terrace houses. It was the starter home for all Malaysians.
Okay.
Only when land becomes scarce, we start building condos, and suddenly not everybody can still accept.
Right.
But for landed, not necessarily all are open type. They are also gated and guarded type.
Okay, yeah.
And those, I think, are opportunities for you guys. Like when you guys are paying like 2.1 million or 3 million for an apartment, you can perfectly get a landed house in a gated community with that price. And you just mentioned one very rare thing where Malaysian government also need to look at it, where we are giving out freehold properties.
Yeah.
Not many countries allow that. You don't really get ownership of land in perpetuity for a country at a fraction of a price.
Yeah. So that's also one thing. When the new version of MM2 just came out, lots of people are complaining like, oh, why we are forced to buy a property to obtain the visa. But from my perspective is that I see it as an opportunity. You know, the government is allowing foreigners to actually buy and own the property here. It's an opportunity, because I know in many other countries, for example, our neighbor Singapore, they impose a really extremely high tax for foreigners to buy, right? 60% tax. It's basically the only purpose to scare away foreigners to buy property. Yeah. So I think for here, Malaysia, I still feel like, although we have a minimum purchase price of 1 million, but still we do have the opportunity to buy, and we are paying the same price. We're not like paying a foreigner special price, right? I think in Thailand, they do have a different price for foreigner and locals, but not so much in Malaysia. So I do view it as an opportunity. It's a good opportunity for us as foreigner to enjoy the same, price of the property here. And also, I think one main attractiveness of Malaysia is that we can own a very nice property with a fraction of price compared to many other countries. So I'm like, yeah, why not? Why not buy a property, right? So it's not like we are forced to buy it. I'm willing to buy. Yeah. So for me, like, I think I'm very lucky that I already purchased a property even before applying the visa.
As a local, I can only watch from afar because I am in a very peculiar spot where I hope more locals will get started in their investment journey as fast as possible. Because now, if you look into the transaction data locally, we are foreseeing a property bull run coming. So all transactions are leading to that, and the construction costs and labor costs and land costs are all scaling up crazily. And if you look into the manufacturing area, the data centers that's going to be built in Malaysia, it's astonishing. The numbers are crazy.
Yeah, like Nvidia, Microsoft, like all the tech giants. They're doing some investment in Malaysia.
All coming. But then, I think it's also a personal choice for the buyers internationally. Like if you come in, still want to retain somewhat the same lifestyle, then foreign locations like Mont Kiara and Desa Park City would make sense. But if you're in for a very different experience, there's so many other recommendations that I have a whole list of it. Like for example, like Cheras, like Subang Jaya, like Shah Alam, like Segambut, which is just
Segambut is just like next to Mont Kiara,
it's
basically.
just next to Mont Kiara. And this is where I find a lot of value, untapped value for expats. Because here I'm paying 1,000 per square feet. Next to that, I'm paying half price, 600 per square feet. And in my school,
just a street away.
Correct, but the distance to the school is the same.
True. But I think the reason is also those like undervalued property is not marketed so much online. So as foreigners, we don't really have the opportunity to know about it at first place, right? So yeah, probably that's what the local developer, they need to do more on the marketing side so that we can know about it.
As a Malaysian, don't. I think you sell to us first. Yeah.
Yeah.
But cool fact, like the property that I'm going to move into in Bukit Jalil, it was recommended by an audience in Hong Kong.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because back then, before COVID, it was too expensive for locals. Therefore, it was marketed in Hong Kong.
Okay.
So they were asking me, hey, this property, what do you think about it? And I'm like, it's pretty cool. And I got it. And the price went up like 40% after COVID.
Is that near the pavilion, right? The
Yeah,
new
pavilion 2.
but
So we
pavilion
have 2 pavilions.
Yeah. We have 3.
Now we have 3
third
pavilions.
in the Masara
Yeah.
height. Yeah, okay.
She's
nice.
local now.
Yeah, I did my homework. Yeah. Yeah. And also, one thing I'm always very curious is, as a property expert, right, in Malaysia, how do you view it as the, the supply side of the property? Because I do see there's so many constructions everywhere in KL. So do you fear that there's like an oversupply of the new, especially condos, into the market, and how will that affect the price?
I do not think that it's an oversupply. I just think that it's the wrong supply.
The wrong supply, yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes when we look into and Malaysia is also big. Of course, it's not as big as China and other locations, but then the amount of land we have is still a lot.
Yeah.
So it really depends on where are you looking at. Like for Mont Kiara, if you look at the amount of buildings around, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It feels like New York.
It feels like Hong Kong.
It feels like Hong Kong as well. But the rental yield is about 6 to 7%. Means the demand for space is there.
Yeah, true.
Then if you go into a further location such as like maybe Semenyih, maybe Kajang where expats will never be able to know where is it. In those locations, we will never be able to rent out at 3% rental yield.
Yeah.
So in those areas, then yes, it's an oversupply or the wrong supply of products. But in the city area, most of the projects that I'm involved in, I need to pull strings just to get deals.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I really do need to make a lot of calls like, can you just let me buy one?
In where? Like, can you share?
This will be in my own channel, but these are locations where in summary, it means that in locations, it depends really where you're looking at. Like oversupply is highly dependent on where you are looking at.
Okay. So you feel like for those like with high rental yield area, it's still worth to buy, or like at least as an investment, right? Because you can appreciate the rental yield. Yeah. And
cool thing, like our banking system is also very foreigner friendly. Like if you guys look into the MM2H in details, like the interest rate on housing loan is very low here in Malaysia.
How much is it? Like
mine is 3.8%.
Okay.
Like in UK, like 2 years ago, it was 9%.
Yeah, because they're rising the interest rate. Yeah.
And for foreigners, you're getting like 2%
on
extra.
top of it, yeah.
So for us, like if you're getting 3.8, like let's just make it 4 to 4.5%. Your rental yield of 6% means you're already covering your installment.
That's true. Yeah.
And if you guys have a little bit more down payment, definitely your rent can cover the installment.
For foreigners, I believe we can get up to, is it 70% loan amount?
There are categories to it. So I just spoke to a loan expert, Miss Rina, in the channel as well. You can go check it out. We categorize as levels of friendly expats.
Okay.
So the first layer will be Singaporeans and Bruneians.
Ah, okay.
So those are like cousins to Malaysians.
Yeah.
They are entitled to 100% of what Malaysians entitled.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
Then we have subsequent categories where we have like some from visa, some under working permits. So they will have different categories to it.
Okay. So for MM2H, do they have a specific category?
Yes, as well.
Okay.
So some last time, because not everyone can buy property in cash, we do understand that. So they took the MM2H route, so they get financing for the property.
Yeah. Because when I purchased my property last year, because I didn't have the visa yet, so there's almost impossible for me to get a loan. But I know that if I have an MM2H visa, I am eligible for the mortgage.
At least
right?
50 to 60%. At least.
Okay, yeah.
So I think in certain countries it's a lot, 50% financing, but to locals it's very bad because we get 100, maybe 110%.
Oh wow, okay.
Like after I buy
What's
a property,
110%? Like,
after I buy the
mean?
property, I still got access
Okay.
to do my renovation.
Wow, really? Wow.
That's why for locals, we are so spoiled. Like if you know
Yeah.
which property to buy,
Yeah.
we even get subsidies for renovation, and I rent out the property to make money.
Wow, that's very generous.
Yeah. So it's a very nice game here.
So for locals, it should be no-brainer to invest in property then.
But then
110%.
But
loan.
now because of the rising prices as well, so it's starting to get a bit more expensive. But the problem of our income for locals here, so it's still rather low.
Well, but I did a comparison, right? I think the medium income is actually similar to China. Like the per capita GDP is similar to China, right? But if you look at KL property price versus like Shanghai or Beijing price, it's like a fraction. Seriously, yeah. Like yesterday, I accompanied my cousin to view one of the new condo in Mount Kiara. It should be considered like the top end condos, right? And the price is only 800 per square feet. So if you convert it to like Chinese yuan, it's only 15K Chinese yuan per square meter. And like for that price, you can't find anything in Shanghai. No, like just nothing.
Yeah.
And you have to go to like maybe third tier cities, like those smaller cities in China, to be able to find that kind of price tag. And the facility here that they offer, the infinity pools, jacuzzis, like tennis court, everything that you can imagine, all comes with it. And the best part is they give you free parking space. Not even one, like 2 or 3 free parking spaces. It's unimaginable back in China. Because in Shanghai, right, people paying a lot of money for the parking space. Yeah, so I think it's really a good deal here. Yeah.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
So it's a gem.
Yeah, a hidden gem. Yeah.
So like from a local perspective as well, like Malaysia, we have 2 sides. Like one is the West Malaysia, the peninsula. One is the East Malaysia, where you have Sabah and Sarawak.
Yeah.
Mount Kiara seems to be expat friendly and expat popular, right? At 800 per square feet. In Kota Kinabalu, not so developed. It's about 1,000 per square feet.
Okay.
The norm. So every time I travel, like after my UK trip, you guys know about my UK trip, right?
Yeah.
After that, I immediately came back and I bought one.
Oh, really? Okay. Because
So-
you found it such a great value.
Yes. So after I go to Kota Kinabalu like 2 weeks ago, now I'm in shopping mode again
Okay.
because there's just so many opportunities. It's truly a hidden gem, and for the value of money. Unfortunately, for locals, it's a different story because they are still romantic about the previous prices, how things were back then, 20 years ago.
So they're not that convinced to.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's really pushing the boundary. But from the industry, we look at the feasibility study and the financing report, right? Developers are barely making money.
Really?
I'm serious. So a lot of people think that property developers are making a lot of money from high rises. Not really.
Not really.
Not really. So they are just trying to make
Just
cash
doing
flow.
charity.
No, just doing cash flow for this period of time.
Okay.
Because the next bull run is gonna come.
Ah.
So that is when they truly make money. And
Okay.
the benefit is there's no penalty on holding lands. Not like our friends in Singapore. If you cannot fully sell out the project in time, there will be penalties.
Oh, okay.
We don't have
We
such
don't
rule.
have that. Okay.
So
okay.
even if I build something and it's not sold, I'm not penalized.
Mm.
So I rather hold my price than to give discounts.
Oh, okay. Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
So then that is where that's like as long as you get the holding power for
Yeah.
Malaysia, then it's all good.
Okay, okay. And one thing I found really interesting is about the payment schedule.
Mm.
Like you guys have the progressive payment stage, right?
Yeah.
Like there are like 10 different stages or so.
Yep.
Like you only need to pay when the building is built up to certain level.
Yep.
For example, the one that I bought in Desa Park City, I was paying maybe 60% of it right now. And I noticed that there's final 5% you don't need to pay until 24 months after the handover.
Yes.
Which is amazing, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't need to pay the full price until 2 years after. Yeah. So I think this is quite, good for the customers. Yeah.
So this is a local government act in the law where property developers can only charge the buyers based on that schedule. And that schedule is where it's differentiate, like once the foundation is ready, it's certified by a professional architect. Only the developer can instruct payments from you guys, can ask for payments. And I cannot collect more. It's against the law. So when it's all done, the final 5%, it's when you get your keys, you will have 24 months of what we call defect liability period. You get to correct whatever defects in the unit. Because unless that's cleared, only the developers get back the final 5%. And you know what? That's most of their profit.
Oh, really? Just that final 5%?
Part of it.
Okay.
But that's a huge sum for them.
Okay.
And so they will need to really care on how you are doing the defects.
Yeah. So that's how I found it's really amazing. Yeah.
So don't be too concerned, like when you put 100% down and the building got stuck in construction and got abandoned, it's very rare. So the act, this particular rule or law was to protect and avoid those kind of things. Because back then in Asian crisis 1998, a lot of projects were abandoned in Malaysia. So to get over it, the government actually introduced this law.
Okay, because in the UK, we also invest in several properties. They don't have that final 5%. No, you have to pay 100% when you got the keys, basically. Although they also provide 1 year or 2 years so-called defect warranty, but because they're not very incentive, to really fix your defect because they got all your monies already. So you have to like chasing them to see, please come to fix my property. Blah, blah, blah. So I do really like the idea that you hold the final 5%.
And the down payment for our properties are also very low. It's about 10%.
10%.
In UK, it's like 30 to 35.
Depends. Sometimes if it's off plan, you can pay 10% initially, but on the following year, you have to pay another 10%. So
ours is very friendly. Very, very friendly.
And also one thing I also noticed, like let's say for MM2H, right, you have to purchase a property, but if you purchase an off plan, you only need to pay the deposit 10%. Then you get the SPA, right, the sales purchase agreement. Then it's qualified for the MM2H. So for people who are maybe you're not ready or you don't have that money, available, maybe purchasing an off plan will suit the purpose. You know what I mean? Like you only need to pay the 10% upfront.
There's also a special zone within. Like there's a special financial zone.
The Johor?
The Johor one. So those are also special hacks. But there are requirements with that kind of special zones where you must buy from a developer. Because in Malaysia, we have 4 main channels of how we can buy properties. We can buy directly from a property developer. We can buy from the market, from existing owners. We can buy auction properties. Then we have this thing called bulk purchasing. Where like investors like us, we go in bulk. Like we directly buy from a property developer at 100 units, 200 units in one go.
You get a discount.
Then we get a discount. So that's how we make money from the market. But then for expats, then I think it's only the primary, which is developer, and it's specified in the MM2H special SFZ part of it, which is in the Johor.
That special area, right? But I'm a little bit in doubt with that though, because I feel like if you can only buy from the property developer, which means when you try to sell it, who are you gonna sell to?
So the agenda is very clear. So I'm going to just be very blunt, where the government is trying to make you guys clear the unsold stocks. Locals are not...
The so-called the forest city, right?
Forest city. But it may be scary, like some medias cover it to make it haunted, but it's actually very beautiful.
I do want to pay a visit though. Because I do see on the news they're like a ghost city, blah blah blah. But I see some of the YouTube videos where people actually go there. It looks nicer than I expected.
And besides property incentives, there are like income tax incentives capped at 15%. There's inheritance tax exemption as well. So if you were to build a family business there, transfer fee is 0.
Yeah.
So
I
all those,
saw like some of the family office, it's very hot in Singapore. Some of those are trying to relocate to JB because of the tax incentive. So, yeah.
So I think it's very, very interesting. So the agenda is clear, just that you gotta really weigh. Like, are you okay to be part of this?
Yeah.
Or does that location make sense for you?
Yeah.
Compared to KL or Penang or things like that.
Yeah. So from your expertise, what are the top 3, I guess, tips or let's say suggestions for expats looking for property here?
Tip number 1, I think we covered pretty extensively. It's buy what locals will buy.
Yeah.
Then there will be comments saying that it's easy for you to say, right? Like, for example, a 2 million ringgit condo in Mont Kiara, it's extremely expensive for a local. But at that same price, you can actually get a stratified landed property in Setia Alam. Setia Alam is this area closer to Shah Alam and Klang. You have a 3,000 square feet double-story corner lot terrace house.
Okay.
And you have international school. It's a developed township just like Desa Wak City.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it's very popular among the locals. So when you invest, there's a clear exit strategy on who's the next potential buyer that's going to buy that.
Yeah.
And we have different range of restrictions. Like in KL, it's 1 million.
Yeah.
In
Selangor is 2 million, right?
Selangor is 2 million.
Yeah.
So for all landed properties priced above 2 million, it might be 2.1 million. All are sold out first.
Oh, okay.
And I invested in one of these projects. So my house is like 700,000, the smallest one. And all my neighbors are going to be international crowds.
Oh, okay.
So you have like 1.8 million houses that is actually unsold because
but 2.1 is
2.1 is all sold out.
Because it's expat. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And the amount of infrastructure that, because there's this township called Eco Ardens that I bought in.
Okay.
So it's developed by this local property developer called Eco World. They are really good with the landed properties, stratified ones.
Yeah.
And their products in Johor Bahru
Eco Botanic, is
yeah,
it? I heard about that. Yeah.
It's very, very popular because in the sub-sale market, eventually everything is above 2 million.
Yeah, true.
And it's driven by local demands, not foreign demands.
Local demand, yeah.
So as a foreigner, you want to play the local game as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that would be the first tip to kind of cover your money.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, and I saw in the news a lot of like Singaporean go to Johor to buy those landed property.
Yeah. So instead of buying in a location, a rule where I always encourage my listeners to have is to always refer to the local median price. Means, for example, when your cousin came to Mont Kiara and they tell me 800 per square feet, I think it's the right price because there is about 850 to 900 per square feet.
Yeah.
But just don't have this thought of compared to my hometown, this is 1/5 the price.
Yeah.
Because a lot of Singaporeans actually got their hands burnt. Compared to HDB in Singapore, this is
a fraction of
price. Sure, can make money.
But you can't compare apple to orange, right?
Correct.
Yeah, you have to like see what locals think from here. Yeah.
So I think that's the point number 2, where there are a lot of options. So that's one of the beauty of KL, where with that same 1 million or 2 million ringgit, you can have a shoebox in KLCC, city center, or Desa Park City, prime location, or you can just step out a little bit, the secondary tier, tertiary tier location where it's local driven. And it's where all the affluent locals will go. Like for me, if I have a portfolio of properties, but I will not stay Desa Park City because the food there are meant for expat or foreign income. Legit, like the nasi lemak price there, I can eat 3 plates in other locations. And it will taste better. We need to be really good friends. And that's the common misconception, because the ultimate reality is a lot of local players keep looking at foreigners and they only look at your wallets.
True.
They're going to milk everything from you guys. So just try to learn how to think like a local,
Yeah.
then you will start behaving like
first
one.
step, look at Sean's video
Yeah.
to know what locals think, right?
Yeah. Then I think the third one is, I think this is not so much of a tip, but a reality check. Even Malaysians are not very confident with our government.
Okay.
So it's not like Singapore or UK. So in UK, whatever data that's presented in the brochure, 100% must be audited. Whatever presented to end consumers, it must be the truth. In Singapore as well. So whatever is published in the newspaper, it will be done or executed. In Malaysia, not really.
Not really. Okay. There's so many like U-turns, right?
Yeah, so
just look at that MMTH, like so many surprises.
So during the COVID release, they say like, oh, now the limit is only 700,000 for a period of time. So it was announced before people in the office actually know anything.
Oh, okay.
So I got bombarded with emails. Hey, Sean, you just talk to your government, ask them to be serious about things. Hey, I don't run the country, okay? But that's a reality. And when you come, then there will be a lot of things where it's not properly communicated online, and you really got to come to the ground, go to the office, ask. When money is concerned, when their own interest is concerned, only they will be serious about it.
Right. True. Don't like trust what media says.
Even true. Our official medias. Like I have not consumed any official media stuff for very, very long. And I'm all good. So that's the reminder, like don't trust 100% of everything you see online.
Just
including mine, including mine, because all are very incentive driven.
That's true, and also I feel like you have to see different sources of videos or like different sources of information resources to have a balanced view, right? And because I know there's like a lot of agents, they take you to see all the properties, make you feel like, oh, you have lots of choice, but then in the end, it's still in the expat bubble.
Yeah.
Right.
That is so true. So I would suggest to maybe just Airbnb. Airbnb is legal here, so you get cheaper accommodation, and you get to really feel the location from your perspective. And there are two formats of typology for townships. One is very car-centric. Malaysia is very car-centric. If you're a car guy, wonderful, you will love the roads here. Then we also have the train system, which is developing.
There are like 2 train lines, right?
There's a
MRT
even
lines.
as a local now, I don't know how to take my own train.
Oh, okay.
It's so new.
Okay.
And it's also coming up very fast. So from the past 10 years, I couldn't drive around without Google Maps now. The amount of new roads being built right now, as a local, I don't even know how to drive in my own road.
The highways are so complicated here. Like on our way here today, we made a wrong turn, and it's like suddenly whole different routes.
But the beauty about Malaysian roads, there's always U-turns. So you will be maybe 20 minutes off, and it won't be too bad. But then I think that's the typology of Malaysia that everyone has to accept, because in a very urban CBD where you have glass buildings, high-end buildings, right? But next to it, you have the traditional, what we call kampong houses. Those wooden houses. And it's just side by side. And this is very common for us. So locals, we will go there and eat. Then go there and work.
Is it not really easy to regenerate certain areas here?
Because we are multicultural, so there will be certain incentives to somewhat protect the native.
I see.
And I think it's good. If not, all land should be sold.
That's true.
But we also have this thing called the Bumi quotas, like native quotas.
Only for native,
only native can buy.
They have like 5% discount
or extra discounts.
Extra discount,
And for developments, they must fulfill that. For example, like 30%. So 30% of every project are only allowed to sell to natives.
Bumi,
at that discount.
But when they sell it, they still need to sell to Bumis, right?
So that's
again, what I learned.
So it's also different. It's very driven from locals. So it's a beautiful thing about Malaysia. Every state, we have like 13 states, and land is a state matter.
Okay.
So there will be a different procedure in Selangor, different procedure.
State is different.
It's different.
Interesting.
Then East Malaysia and West Malaysia is again
also different.
We have different land laws.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a and like when you call me an expert, I was like, oh, please don't ask me about Sabah because it's a whole different.
Whole different, yeah.
So that's the very exciting thing about Malaysia. But we are very friendly. Everything can be discussed. So it's not as strict like
There's some gray areas.
Our UK counterparts and Singapore counterparts. Like if you don't know, we are very friendly. Because we are also trying to figure out at the same time.
Yeah. But we just need to know the right person.
Yes.
Probably, right?
Yes.
And also, I noticed that your trip to the UK, Manchester, earlier, from your experience, like when you view the UK property, their buy-to-let yields, how do you think it's different comparing to Malaysia?
They evaluate loans very differently.
Very differently.
Like there, the property basically qualifies for the loan itself because of the very healthy rental that they can get. But then there are a lot of restrictions from a foreigner point of view. But if you are like, it's very popular among Singaporeans because domestic market is impossible for them. You can never buy a second HDB, or you can never, and the open market products are just too expensive. So their investors are just driven out of the country.
True.
So UK being one of the main language for English,
Yeah.
and the law is so straightforward,
Yeah.
it becomes very favorable for them.
Yeah. And also Hong Kong. There are
Yeah.
so many Hong Kongers. Yeah.
Then for me, after my trip, that I was going to buy one.
Yeah.
So I was about to sell my
Is
watches.
it a condo or a house?
It's a condo.
A condo.
So it's a condo in Tier 1, Zone 1 Manchester.
Oh, okay.
So it was about £300,000. Then I need to pay up 30% first.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at that price, the rental that we estimated is about, rental yield is about 11%. But the interest rate was 9.
Yeah. Well, but now the interest rate is lower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't want to take that risk. So it's an ego thing for me. At that same price, like 300,000, I need to pay like 100,000 pounds. It's about 500,000 ringgit. Here I can buy a full condo in cash with that price.
Yeah.
Or I can just segregate it.
Yeah.
And in Malaysia, just now as we speak, after I buy, I still get cash out of the property.
Yeah.
So I can own
The
like
extra,
5 properties with extra cash for my renovation and the rent covering installments.
Yeah.
And I just need to hold them for the
Yeah.
end of the tenure. I own all of them.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is why I didn't go for that. It doesn't mean that the deals there is not great. I have local deals that makes more sense.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And also, because from my own experience as a UK landlord, like we own several buy-to-let property, like when you calculate the yields, right? When you see the gross rental yields, it's very attractive, like 9%, 10%. But if you calculating all the cost to it, because you have to pay the agent to find your tenants, and then you have to go all those licenses, the government is very strict about renting out your units to tenants. You have to go so many licenses, like the EPC rating and the EIRC, like you have to have an electricity safety certificate in order to be able to let out the property. And you have to have the property renting license from the local council. All of those cost money, a lot of money. Yeah, so if you're considering all those, related costs, then the net yield is not that high. Yeah. And you also have to pay tax, like on top of it.
Yeah. But for Malaysians, we have exemptions on tax.
Oh, okay. You don't need to pay for rental income?
Yeah, we have a exemption. So we are friends. Like Malaysians is friends with a lot of countries. Like China also friend, UK also friend. That's why Singaporeans envy Malaysians who invest in UK.
Oh, okay.
And I have a lot of UK friends, a lot of Malaysian friends who invest in UK. But it's with the primary intention of putting their kids there for education.
Yeah, true.
Because Malaysians, for local, we don't have very high confidence on our own academic performance and syllabus. But now with all the international schools are being built and all, so I think the standard is there.
Okay.
Just that it's not as accessible to locals.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so I think we had a very good discussion with Sean today. He shared so much valuable insights about Malaysian property. And yeah, thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions or if you're interested in Malaysia property, I think view Sean's videos. Yeah, subscribe to his channels is a must. Yeah, so thank you for being here.
This is going to be your longest episode, I think. Yeah, thanks for having me. Welcome to Malaysia. Welcome to Malaysia.
Thank you. Yeah, glad to be here.